Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hustling Sideways podcast. I'm Alan Halas. I'm a music writer.
And I'm Jim Love, and I'm a keynote and motivational speaker, and I am hot as heck in Milwaukee this week. We are in the
Yes,
air conditioning right now, but it was hot.
yes. And this is episode number 103 of the Hustling Sideways podcast. Uh, Jim, like you said, very hot. If you notice, I've got a fan going over me if it looks like
Same
I'm
here.
flickering. Yeah,
Yeah,
because it is too damn hot out.
yeah.
And so it was so hot that Jim was like, you know what? I'm doing this at home today. We
I'm
don't
just
know
gonna
what's
stay
going
home. That's
on.
why. Yeah, that's why.
We don't know
Because
what's going on below that camera, and we don't need to know. We
that's
really
right.
just don't
That's
need
right.
to
And
know.
but on another hot story, right? Alan and I went to Summerfest a couple weeks ago, and I actually brought two pairs of shirts, thinking that I was going to sweat through shirt number one. I didn't, by the way. I feel really accomplished about that. But I had an extra shirt in my back pocket the whole time, and that's called being 34 and being well aware that you sweat a lot. So that's a good place to be.
I was gonna say there hasn't been a more adulting thing to do than to be like, you know what, I need a backup shirt
Very
because just in
responsible.
case.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, no
very
doubt about it.
responsible.
But
So
we're back. We're here. We're excited.
yes, and we have an amazing guest today. So today's guest is the founder of Snowman Multimedia. He is also a play-by-play announcer, a podcaster, sports enthusiast to say the least. That's putting it very, very mildly. We first met when I was, I guess, interning or whatever they call working for no money for an ABA basketball team during college called the Milwaukee Blast. And I'm sure we'll get into that for just a little bit. But he was the play-by-play announcer, and I have not forgotten him since. Coming into us from, I believe, Indiana, is Mr. Brian Snow. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. And y'all are talking about having fans.
Yeah, let's
Oh,
go.
he's
What
got
you got?
one. He's got the
What
personal
do you
fan.
think this
Oh,
is?
that's a
There we
box fan.
go.
I
That's
got the
rolling, man.
old-fashioned box fan going
I
That's
love
here
how
it.
in
you
my
know it's a
office.
summer. That's how
That's
you know it's a summer episode of the podcast for
When,
sure. When
when
we're
you
all
know it's when you
sweaty.
know it's a summer episode, when you're inside air conditioning and you still got to break out the fan and keep cool.
right.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
support that completely. I'm a big box fan guy. That's we have one here, and not in this office, but in the house. And whenever I need it, I pull that thing out and I box fan it up, and it's fantastic.
Yep.
Notorious box fan enthusiasts over here. Brian and I, like I said, first met when I was working for the Milwaukee Blast, and really what had started is my now wife, then girlfriend, was interning for them. She was a sports marketing major, and they needed somebody to work on their social media and to work on their video stuff. And so I, the opportunist, hopped in and said, "Yeah, I'll shoot the commercial for you guys." It was this new basketball team. It was a new version of the 70s ABA where they
Hmm.
were going to have the 3-point line, but there was going to be a 4-point play. I believe if you turned it over and back, or if you turned the ball over like in your own half, it was worth an extra point if they scored. There was all sorts of rules. I think it still exists, the league,
Think,
but the team does
think,
not.
um, think NBA Jam slash He's on Fire. That is how
Yes.
you get the 4-point run going. Because the rule was you have to force a turnover in the backcourt 3 consecutive times.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
Well,
right.
when
Yes.
you complete the triple play, there's this light that they had on. So they'll activate the light, and the only way that light turns off is if the opponent A gets across half court and B gets a basket. That's the only way they
Yeah.
turn the light off. And I covered the ABA for a year and a half, and I've seen scoring runs that got even more ridiculous than the Bulls would put on the Utah Jazz in 1998,
Yeah.
or even more. Let me be current. Even more ridiculous than Steph Curry by himself with the Golden State Warriors lighting up teams from distance.
Right.
That's how fun that was.
Yeah, it was an interesting time for sure. I was not qualified to be the live stream guy for it, but you could pay for a live stream of it. And my setup was basically the laptop that I had in college, so it barely worked. And then it was like a cheap HP webcam that I had on top of the laptop,
Yep.
and I was just moving it back and forth. And that was sending out like a less than 480p like stream because that's what you could do at the time. I remember one guy dove over the yeah, one of those laptops.
This
Yeah, one
baby's
of
been with
those.
me for 7 years.
Oh wow, the
So
safekeeping. That's great.
Basically, it was one of those with a handheld laptop or handheld webcam on top of it. I remember one time a guy dove for a ball over the table and folded up the laptop and just like shut down the live stream.
That's it. It's
he
gone.
did. Oh
That,
God, he did.
yeah. And I didn't know what to do. I mean, no, like granted, okay, nobody had paid for this live stream. I'm sure of it. Their footage probably does not exist. I don't know what I was doing out there, but I was not qualified to do what I was doing. And then that happened, and it was just like, what is my
The
life at
game
this
just ended.
point?
I guess that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, you can't play any
For
longer.
yeah, if you were watching
And
it
in
at
the
home,
game where Allen and I met, Milwaukee up 16, Portage County raced back to tie the game, was in the lead in the third quarter. Milwaukee shut that down, went back up 16. And then I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be a short post game, one interview, and I'm out of here. Raced all the way back and tied the thing, and Milwaukee won with a couple of free throws in the final seconds. My voice was spent. I'm looking at Allen and he's looking at me, and we're both going, "What the hell's going on here?"
yeah. Brian, you were the play by play for the Blast though, right? Or were you for Portage County?
Portage County.
Really? I
Yep.
never, I guess I like, oh man, time has not been good to me then. I totally thought that you were the broadcast play-by-play
No,
for the Blast.
I was the voice of the Porter County Punishers. I said, yeah, Porter County Punishers.
Sure.
Punisher. I
Oh, it
like
was
that.
Dan Pfeiffer. Dan Pfeiffer was
Mm.
the
Oh, Pfeiffer.
broadcaster
Yeah.
for the Blast.
Yep,
Yes.
Dan Pfeiffer was the main voice.
Yes. I couldn't remember who was in-house and who was the play-by-play for us. But in
Hmm.
either case, I never forgot, Brian, because you had an enthusiasm for the game, and no matter what we were watching, if we were in a college, if we were in a college stadium
Hmm.
closely, in a gym with like 20 people watching, you treated that thing like it was the NBA Finals, man. So it was great. I could remember hearing you from across the side of the table. So
Listen, Jim Durham got me started a long time ago. Back in '85, I heard my first Bulls game on radio with Jim Durham, and then later heard Johnny Kerr team with him. And it was then I decided, okay, that's what I want to do. I want to be
Mhm.
a play-by-play announcer. And many, many years listening, like I said, to Jim Durham, especially with moments like this.
Michael on the drive across the lane. Turnaround shot. Got it. 16-3 for Jordan.
It's like, yeah, that's what I
you
want.
just had it ready. Love
Oh
that.
man, Brian,
Oh man.
you are hitting my '90s Chicago kid vibes right now. That's where I grew up, and that was all my childhood. What was it about that drew you in? Was it the enthusiasm they brought to the game, or what made that be the thing that you wanted to pursue so deeply?
All of it. I
Hmm.
love the way Jim Durham described a game.
Yeah.
I loved Jim Durham see Jim Durham and Johnny Kerr were it for me as far as basketball broadcast teams. Now,
Hmm.
don't get me wrong, I love Marv Albert and Mike Fratello, Bob Costas when he covered the NBA, Dick Stockton and Bill Russell, and later Dick Stockton and Tommy Heinsohn, Brent Musburger and Bill Raftery. But Jim
Hmm.
Durham and Johnny Kerr got you ready and took you through the game. It could be a 30-point blowout or a buzzer beater, and they were there with you. What I really loved was hearing Johnny Kerr go ballistic when something. Jim, you
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
You've heard Jim Durham and Johnny Kerr.
a hundred
Jim
percent.
was Jim was exciting. Okay. Jim brought the excitement. He called the game like he saw it. Johnny Kerr was like the most exciting announcer I ever, the exciting color commentator I heard, because one game I remember in 1990, John Paxson delivered a three to win the game at Dallas, and Johnny Kerr just jumped up and screamed his head off. And according to Jim Durham, he thought that Johnny was gonna like unplug everything, because at that time you had plugs, you had things you had on the table, you didn't have
Mhm.
any. It was all mono back then.
Hmm. Right.
All the broadcasting was mono, so you had to make sure everything was in the was plugged in the right place. But man, Jim Durham was it for me. And I'm not ashamed
Sure.
to admit it for basketball. Jim Durham was it. Jim Durham was the reason I wanted to get into play-by-play.
That's
For
great.
sure. What do those early gigs look like for you? Because I mean, so many people especially a lot of people I went to college with wanted to get into like sports broadcasting, and some of them did, even some friends of Jim and I.
Hmm.
But what did those early gigs look like for you? Because I know that they had to take on a lot of things just to, break through. So what were those first games like for you? And how did you get your foot in the door, I guess?
I started this on a whim
Hmm.
at Chicago State in 1995. My friend Kevin was checking out a camera from the speech and theater department, and something inside my brain turned on. And I said, "Can you attach a microphone to that camera?" He says, "Yeah, what do you have in mind?" "I want to try something." They were playing Northern Illinois, and all I had with me was a roster, nothing like the elaborate notes that you see today, that you see broadcasters
Hmm.
have today, and media packs and things like that. I had both rosters, and I had like two lines of notes. And I did my first play-by-play call. I became my version of Jim Durham,
Sure.
and that was it. That was
So
one
were
that
you
got me started.
so were you calling that game then from the table, or how did you get access? You just walked
We were
in
on
with
the
your friend?
we were this was in the old arena at Chicago State. We were up on the track.
Hmm.
We
Okay.
were actually not allowed on the table because no one knew who the heck we were. No
Right.
one knew that we were a couple of students trying something, and I was going to well, I was actually supposed to go to a marketing event that night, so I had a shirt and tie on.
Hmm.
Hell with that. I saw an opportunity and I jumped.
Right. So you just kind of walked into the arena for I'm sorry, which college was this for?
Chicago State University.
Hmm.
Oh, sure. Okay. So, and just walked in and said, I'm gonna broadcast this thing and see. So,
Yep,
did that go out live? Was that taped or
that
how
was
did
taped.
that?
That was
Okay.
taped. A
So
lot of
then
the
you had
stuff
a
we did from
demo.
95 through 99 was taped
Hmm.
because the technology hadn't gotten out there yet. And plus the radio station was being a royal pain and not letting us send it back to the station so they can air the thing because
Hmm.
they didn't want to bring anybody in and it wasn't my boss John was all for it. It was the boss above
Sure.
him that said, "Nope, we can't do it. This is a student-run station." Well, get a student in here, make it an internship or something. We were coming up with ideas left and right, okay,
Hmm.
but they just wouldn't do it. Finally, by 2000, when the internet decided to explode, we got a little clever, and that's when real
Okay.
players showed up. Real
Ah,
players
okay.
showed up. 2 years later came Winamp, and off to the races we went.
And you were able to go out live then that way.
Yep,
Okay. So that is, I mean, a very early internet broadcasting. Now, I mean, it is something entirely different in itself, right?
it is.
So, did you know, like, you guys learned the technology kind of on the fly then to put that together? And I'm sure a lot of trial and error had to have gone into that, right?
Trial and error. Trial and error, he says. Here, let me think about that for 30 seconds. Wait, actually, you know what? Let me think about that.
So, a lot of trial, a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
error.
L- many errors. Many. Tell
Were
you a
you
funny
were you
story. I went to
were you
Kansas
on?
City. I went to
Yeah.
Kansas City on a whim to cover a game with Chicago State and UMKC. Had my equipment, tapes, tape recorder, microphone, headphones. The microphone fell apart. 10 minutes before I was scheduled to tape the game.
Oh man.
The plug where you plug it into the side of the tape recorder went, and I'm
Yeah.
looking at this thing going, now what? Because I'm in trouble twice. I can't tape the game, and I can't bring it back to campus looking like this.
Oh,
Fortunately,
yeah.
that UMKC and the game was at Kemper Arena. Fortunately, the folks at UMKC lent me a broadcast headset that had a 1/4 inch plug, so I could
Hmm.
use the adapter, plugged it into the tape recorder, and was ready to roll. But
Sure.
many trials, many errors, many more trials, many more errors. And yet here I am 30 years later.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing that, I mean, I'm assuming that traveling to those games too to make that happen, they're not letting you travel with the team at that point if they don't want to bring you in to broadcast. You're doing this on your own will to get down there to get to Kansas City from
Hmm.
Chicago. And so you're in the car, you're putting in the miles like early while you're still in college.
Listen, I did that by Greyhound.
Oh
Oh no,
wow.
again, most of my career came on a whim because it was just something I wanted to try. And then I really got serious about it when I'd say about 2 years in, and I said I really want to do this. I took the Greyhound because I was struggling at the time. I was going through a lot of turbulence and I needed a nap. So a 12-hour ride to Kansas City gave me the rest I needed. I got some barbecue. I walked over to Kemper Arena, did the game, walked back to the bus station, and got another 12-hour nap home to Chicago. So when you pursue something and you want it so badly, you get very creative in a hurry.
Yeah.
hmm Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So let's talk about post college then, how you get your name out there and start doing these things. And eventually it leads to Snowman Multimedia, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
when did you think like, okay, I've got to charge for this? And how did you go about like getting clients or getting teams to work with?
Talking to people. I did it the
hmm
hard way. I cannot be more clear than that. I did it the hard way. I didn't have the advent of social media when I started.
hmm
I just went to schools and said, "Can I try something out?" Fortunately, and I'm gonna say a couple places Jim may be familiar with. There was a school called on the south side. I don't know, Mount Carmel High School.
Oh yeah. So
There's a
rival
league
school of
called
mine.
the
Yep.
Chicago Catholic League.
Hmm.
Because what happened in 1998 was doing a public league game, and they thought we were saying the plays over the public address, and we got kicked out of the stadium.
Oh, oh my
So I'm
gosh.
like, my career is over before I got started. Nope.
Sure.
48 hours later, go to Gately Stadium. Mount Carmel's playing there, and Gately Stadium was Mount Carmel's home field for the longest time. Talked to Frank Lenti. He said it was cool. Talked to the folks at the gate. They said it was cool. They said, why don't you do your games here? Screw it. We'll try it.
Yeah.
And then that happened. And then a year later, I was covering De La Salle, and I had to do a game at Brother Rice. And I saw how Brother Rice loved their team, good or bad. It's the same with all Catholic schools.
Yep.
Saw how they loved their team, and a bell rang in my head. I told Alvin Washington, next time we should do a game here at Rice. He said, why? I pointed over to their student section and I said, we got the Crusader Crazies here. And I came up with that name because it reminded me of the Cameron Crazies at Duke University.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
We spoke it during a game and it stuck.
It's still there today.
It
Yeah.
stuck. I couldn't believe it because when we came in the next time, within a week, their scores table, which was up on the stage at the time, had a sign made that said Crusader Crazies.
Oh wow.
And I'm
Very
looking and
dope.
I'm going, what? Off of an, this is all off of a
Oh,
dream and an idea.
it's so
Right.
funny. So that is my rival. I went to St. Lawrence, and Brother Rice was our
St.
rival school.
Lawrence
Yeah.
Vikings, if I'm
Vikings.
right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the one. And so,
I did a
yeah.
game at St. Lawrence with Brother Rice and St. Lawrence. I did a game at St. Lawrence. There was first place on the line in the CCL, and I didn't have any ears when I came out of that joint.
Oh, that's
Way up
awesome.
in the hey, you remember what St. Lawrence's gym was like?
Oh,
If you're
yeah.
part of media, you're way up in the catbird
Up
seat.
at the top. That's right.
They
That's right.
weren't putting anybody on the floor. Well, at the time, they couldn't put anybody on the floor because of the way the gym was configured. They
Yeah.
couldn't put the media on the floor. They just had enough for the essentials at the scores table. So I'm walking to the scores table, and someone stopped me, and he said, "We're gonna have to put you up there. Up where? All the way up there. What?" They helped me get up. They helped me get up there, and boy, when I put those headphones on, I turned my mixer on and set everything up. It was loud. I
Oh,
had to
wow.
pull my headphones off at every 2-minute timeout.
Oh, because you're hearing
I'm doing
the
this every
amplified.
timeout. I'm doing this and shaking my head. I'm going, you gotta be kidding me. I thought Brother Rice was loud. St. Lawrence was loud. St. Rita was loud.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to tell you about Brother Rice. I was there for 14 years.
Yeah.
But the school that, even more than Brother Rice, loved what we do, crazy enough, was Marist.
Ah. Oh yeah.
Why? It's the Battle of Pulaski Road.
That's right. That's
It's
right.
the Battle of Pulaski
100,
Road.
115th versus 99th. There you
Yes.
go.
2 miles separate these two schools. They're
Yeah.
fierce rivals on the field, but they're the best of friends off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time the first time I did a Marist Rice game was at Rice.
Mm.
You talk about people that know how to party before a game.
It's true.
Wow. Okay, so where were these early broadcasts? Are these all taped still that you're putting out, or is it
Yeah, they were
um
taped up until 2004. The high school games were all taped until 2004 because the technology hadn't advanced yet and didn't have money for the equipment. And
right?
and like I said at the time, I was going through a lot of personal turbulence from like 1999 to 2002.
Mhm.
Hmm.
2001 happened. I made up with my dad, and he jumped like nothing happened. He jumped right back in, and said, "Let me get you some toys." Okay,
Mm.
because
Hmm.
there was a chasm between dad and I, because I messed up big. All right, I didn't land in jail or anything. I just made some stupid mistakes that he didn't expect me to make. But when I
Sure.
came back home and we talked everything out, he gave me a big hug and said, "Let me find you some toys so I can get you back in the game."
Hmm.
So a lot of this, I didn't know. Okay, let me just be honest. I didn't know. I didn't know sponsors was going to be the name of the game. And then I got
Sure.
approached one night saying, "I'd love to sponsor your broadcast." And I looked at him like he was crazy. I'm like, "What?" And me not having the knowledge at the time. And he said, "You read this 3 times during the game, I'll pay you $200. Man, don't mess with me. I'm going through hell right now. Don't mess with me." He says, "I'm dead serious." He wound up being my sponsor for 8 years.
Wow, amazing. So, where were these broadcasts that the tapes going out? I mean, were you doing public access or were you doing like how are people seeing these games?
Well, when we found audio access with Winamp and Real Player, we started doing it that way
Oh,
and
sure.
stayed with
Okay.
audio because that was the easiest access that we could get. Well, I go to it was Brother Rice and St. Rita at Rice basketball game, 2005, and it wound up being taped for a television broadcast.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Hmm.
Something new, a whole new flare
Uh-oh.
lights. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can tell.
All the lights turned on in my head. And
Hmm.
the folks that were taping the game were so gracious. They said, "You want to learn this? Hell yeah." And one of the main announcer pulled me aside and said, "Look, you got something. I want to help you along by giving you some knowledge." Oh boy, has it come in handy.
So
It's
he
come in
taught you
handy
the basics of broadcast and television, or for television at
for
least, and how
television.
things would be
Yes.
different. Okay.
Yes.
And then you're landing, I mean, you're taking your shows then now to, or at the time you're taking them to broadcast TV
Mhm.
and channels like public
Just
access then, or just wherever it'll have you.
public access for the most of it. And then we learned another trick, airing them on the internet.
Mm.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
We learned another little trick.
Hmm.
Granted, it was via AOL, and you
Yeah.
had to wait for that some bitch to upload,
Yeah.
and you had to not be on the phone. But we were doing a television game of the week.
Ah, okay, okay.
We were doing a television game of the week through a website I had created. And this is one of those websites you put together in 40 minutes so you can help
Hmm.
sell the product. This is one of those
Yep.
ones. And with a potential sponsor, "Do you have a website?" And you start thinking, and you know you don't have one. You're like, "Give me 40 minutes and I'll have something for you."
Yeah,
How are
sure.
you going to put something together in 40 minutes? Watch this. I raced back home, jumped on my computer, and I dove right in. And I'm banging away at the keys. My mother comes in and she says, "What are you doing? I'm about to make $1,000."
Mm.
What? My dad races downstairs. He says, "Who made the offer?" "Two potential sponsors." He looks at my mom. He says, Tiger, get out of the room. I got to work with him.
He knew.
Love it.
He knew what to do.
Mom's laughing the whole mom knew well, mom knew what was going on.
Sure.
Okay. Mom knew what was going on. But mom's laughing the whole time. Well, that's when everything really took off.
Yeah. And then, I mean, now with the advent of where, you're talking early internet, where the internet is now, I'm sure it
Hmm.
just grew and evolved from there and figuring out, how to live stream
Mm.
your games, wherever you're streaming your games, wherever you got to connect to.
Hmm.
You've had to learn the tech side of it too as it grows, though, right? So is that
Absolutely.
something that I'm assuming now has to necessarily, I guess, come sort of easy to you is to be able to keep adapting and growing? And what's the main platform for you now for streaming games?
YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube's the main platform for me. All this simulcast stuff I knew in my head, but didn't get a chance to bring it to life from watching Bulls games.
Mhm.
Sports
Really?
Channel,
Okay.
and at the first time WMAQ, and then yeah, WMAQ 86 was the radio station, and Sports Channel and Sports Vision at the time was the television station.
Hmm.
I learned it all then.
Sure.
It
And how
just
to
took me a while
connect
to
and get
apply it.
everything. Hmm.
It just
Mhm.
took me a while to get the equipment and apply it.
For sure. So now are you doing high school still, or is it kind of expanded out to college and things like the ABA and wherever
Well,
else?
thanks to the world of alternative play-by-play, I'm covering everything I can lay my eyes on. But
Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
am obeying my wife and getting some rest when necessary
Yes.
because and my wife is a godsend. Okay. My wife has hung with me the last 7 years through cancer, toe amputations, working hard to get my legs back under me so I can walk normally and dealing with all kinds of health issues.
Hmm.
And Jody is the main reason and my main drive today.
That's awesome.
Even
Love
though
that.
she picks on me when I cover Colts games, and to her, I don't do it right when they lose. And that's one of our best running jokes in the house. And the guys who are on with me each week that I do a Colts game, um, they catch on to it and they run with it. But
Hmm.
I got to tell you, 2018, I nearly shut everything down, including myself, because I had given
Sure.
up on life.
Hmm.
And I get a message from Jody, and it's like she raced the clock and pulled me back from the cliff and
Hmm.
said, "No, you don't. I haven't met
Yeah.
you, but I need you."
Yeah.
Well,
And for those that don't know, stage 4 cancer that you had, right?
stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
Hmm. And so moving through that, I mean, and then to get back in the game, I mean, like that alone,
Yep.
amazing resilience. But that if you hadn't heard, from the beginning of the show onward, resilience seems to be your thing, right?
I never would give up on anything. And proud I am to say this pretty lady never gave up on me.
Mm.
Hmm. That's
There
And
you
awesome.
go.
won't get this is Jody. This is the love of my life. This is my wife of the past 6 years. We'll celebrate our anniversary this week. And she's been with
Nice.
Awesome.
me
Hey.
since 2018. We got married in 2019, and it just seems like the devil said, okay, we're gonna throw everything at you possible to ruin this. And we've just gotten stronger.
Hmm. That's
But
amazing. That's
Great.
awesome. I love
she is
that.
the reason I'm still here punching away every day.
Yeah. Well, I'm
It-
so glad that you're punching away, and
That's right.
let's
Right.
talk about what broadcasting looks like for you at the current moment.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because like you said, trying to get back and get stronger and things like that. You're doing a lot of things remote now, which is very
Yep.
interesting. Talk a little bit about how you got that kind of set up.
I was forced into it, and yet I was welcomed into it because after I got out of surgery, well, before I went into surgery in 2022, I get a phone call from the University of North Carolina, Greensboro, and they wanted me to do a game for them against Towson State. And I was about to hang up the phone, and then I said, wait a minute. You realize I'm in Indiana, right? Yes.
Hmm.
Can I do this remotely? Absolutely. You're on.
Yeah,
That's the end of that.
yeah. And it's
Wow.
a
That
whole
was the
new,
end of
I
that.
mean, it's a whole new era, a whole new avenue that opens up for you then too.
It
Because
is.
now you can call games, and again, because you have been, working with technology since the advent of being able to stream live on the internet, you've got this now, I would assume, for lack of a better, pardon the pun, dialed in.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
It's
you can watch and access a feed from around the world, really, and you
Yep.
can call a game.
Yep.
So has that led to being able to do more, colleges and larger schools and things like that too?
Let's see. College football playoff, Indiana, Notre Dame, uh, Northwestern playing anybody. I'm a Northwestern Wildcat fan, can't help it.
Okay.
Let's see. Texas, Ohio State, Notre Dame for the national championship, which gave me 3,500 viewers.
Oh
Um,
wow.
anything involving Caitlin Clark, and first the
Yeah.
Iowa Hawkeyes, then the Indiana Fever, and I don't need to tell you how those numbers are going right now.
Right.
The first big Caitlin Clark game did that I did was they played Nebraska for the Big Ten championship, and the numbers just kept climbing and climbing and climbing. Then
Hmm.
Iowa wiped out a double-digit lead, took it to overtime. I went back and looked at the number, 5,500 viewers that day.
That's
Love it.
awesome.
That's amazing. And you're doing this now that's on YouTube and that's not with even the footage of the game, right? That's you're doing your play-by-play live
Yep,
while the game's happening.
while the game is happening. See, what you want to
And
do is show them your face, but get in their ears. Bring back
hmm
the old school, but supply a lot of the new school with it. And part of the new school is the interaction with the fans. They're going to
Hmm.
yeah,
throw their comments up there. They want to be heard.
yeah. So you're
You do that,
streaming
that's
You're
that.
streaming. Yeah, you're streaming as the, I guess, second ear experience, not even second screen
Right.
experience.
Hmm.
And you're the radio guy, but you're now you have that community aspect of it too, that people are watching the game on, probably watching it on TV, but commenting
Hmm.
on your stream and
Yeah.
then feeding into each other. That's amazing.
And
Have
that's
you?
what's missing in broadcasting nowadays.
That's right.
I mean,
Yeah.
they want to do a pseudo fan interaction, NBA on TNT, hello, with fans
Yeah.
chiming in via Twitter, and they bring it back from break, and then they pick one random comment, and of course,
hmm
that's all that's chosen within 4.5 minutes that they're off the air
Mhm.
for a commercial break. Nah, bring it all on.
Yeah.
Shout out everybody and I talk to everybody. So it's combining my love for the fans and my love for sports and sports broadcasting all into one and bringing back the old school simulcast and bringing it into the 21st century.
Love
Yeah.
that.
Do
That's
you
so
ever
cool.
encounter people that are coming into that like with negativity or comments that you like? I'm sure it's created an awesome community, but like what I can imagine folks, they may be mean, and I'm curious how you combat that. We've talked about that a little bit on the show.
Be mean, huh? Did Michael Jordan have haters for 13 years?
He sure did. Yeah.
More to okay. Did Don Nelson have haters for the way he put together his team in Milwaukee and Dallas and Golden State and everywhere because he had a
Oh
different
yeah.
style? Phil Jackson, different style. Hell, let me use the team that got me into sports. I'll mention the coach's name, Bill Walsh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bill
So
Walsh from the
it's
West Coast.
everywhere.
When
It's
you
ever
invent
present.
something,
Yeah.
everybody wants a piece of it for them
Hmm.
and
Hmm
not give the credit to the person who invented the thing. I use this example all the time. Bill Walsh invented the West Coast offense.
hmm
And I've had people say, well, Paul Brown started it first. Who perfected it?
Hmm.
Bill
hmm
Walsh. Look at
Right.
the pieces he put together. And I think of it the same way. The pieces I've put together, pair of monitors, tower back here behind me, 30 years of experience doing play-by-play, learning by watching other YouTubers and how they stream their games. And they all recognize the streamers I am really, really close friends with, they all recognize me when I come in their chat and I say hi, and they said, go check out Snowman Multimedia. He does great work also. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, this is cool. And then they
That's
come into
great.
my stream and I recognize them the same way. You
That's
give the
great.
Yeah.
recognition to the people that have been behind you since day one.
Hmm.
Yeah. And yeah, like I said, that builds community and that builds that
Hmm.
too. And you're able to combat whenever things do get negative. You've got that, right? Like you know how to handle that too because you've seen that probably in every form of internet comment
I've had a
possible, right?
fellow I've had a fellow come after me for 16 years,
Oh,
telling me I owe him money because he supposedly got a sponsor for me. And then he made up
hmm.
a lie in 2016 and told the IHSAA that I was inappropriately touching two female students at Marquette Catholic.
Oh,
Unfortunately, it
geez.
cost me my contract at Marquette Catholic. And the day that I was informed that I couldn't come back, that some bitch called me and said, "How'd that thing with the IHSAA go?"
Oh,
Oh, so it was definitely
wow.
like entirely malintent. Oh,
That's
geez.
crazy. Wow.
And the
Yeah,
bad part is because I'm having success with doing this, he's not the only one.
Yeah.
sure.
The list with you you guys know this with your success as it continues to grow, the haters continue to grow.
Hmm. Always.
Just keep
Yeah.
going.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, let's talk about then what all you offer with Snowman Multimedia too, right? Like you're not only broadcasting live games, you're doing podcasting as well,
Mhm.
and essentially doing a lot of like the sports talk things, but from your guys' perspective, you've got co-hosts for that as well. Um, how have you seen that grow over the years too?
When you love what you do, it grows naturally and you add to it naturally. Now, Snowman Media not only houses my exclusive play-by-play arm, which is Snowman Sportsnet, but it also houses my production services for podcast intros, outros, video editing, audio editing, taking the name multimedia on.
Hmm.
So that just made one quick expansion. We bring in Snowman Sportsnet, get that started, and we're ready to go. We got everything. And I had asked myself for 4 years, how am I going to do this?
Right.
Because I love being creative and I love producing. How can I put it together and separate them at the same time? Crazy question, but think about it. Anybody in business knows you got to put stuff together, but then you got to have different arms to separate.
Hmm.
When Tom,
Totally.
my first graphic designer, said Snowman Sportsnet, rang a bell, and he
Hmm.
said you can actually offer that under your main umbrella and have Snowman Multimedia do all your production. I slept on it for
Oh,
a couple of
sure.
nights, and away we go.
Yeah. Diving right in. I
Hmm.
mean, again, I notice a theme of as soon as something that you see that you're really passionate
Go
about,
with
or as
it.
soon as you put those wheels together,
Bro.
it's
Yeah.
right in on it, right?
Hmm.
That's amazing. Um, and being able to do those things now, I would assume is turning profits for you and helping grow the business,
It's getting there.
it's getting there.
It's getting there. It took a dip when I had cancer
Sure.
because a lot of people thought I wouldn't make it back.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And I got this big wicked smile on my face because it pissed them off because I did make him back. I made it back to the
uh,
microphone, and I got a GoFundMe out there to help get my car repaired so I can do some other things to help out the family. And
mhm.
it's like any idea that hits me that can help not only me but my wife and my children.
You're doing it. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great. That's great.
Yeah, love that. So how many days a week are you live then on YouTube then with
Six, six
six
days,
days a week? Okay. So Sunday off or which day
Sunday
off?
off for the most
Okay,
part. For the
Sunday
most part, Sunday off. Though
until
tomorrow
NFL
I'm taking
season.
half. Tomorrow I'm taking half the day off because it's my anniversary with my beautiful bride, and I'm taking her to breakfast.
There you
I
go.
like that. There you go. Yeah, I like that. That's awesome. So and just that's the best place to probably get in touch with what you're doing is connect to the channel and you'll notice, all of the things that come with it, right?
Mm-hmm. So, youtube.com/at Snowman Multimedia is where you can find me.
Perfect.
Love it. So, and then all the socials, like how do you help keep spreading the word? What's the best place to go ahead and do that?
SNWMN Multimedia on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. And the full name, Snowman Multimedia on YouTube.
Okay. Very cool. Super cool. Well, I appreciate that you're doing this. I
Yeah.
mean, I appreciate that you just keep keeping on because like I said, I never forgot the enthusiasm that you brought to the game, right? And I only saw you I must have seen Porter County more than once
Yeah.
in that short amount of time. but I never forgot the personality and your love of the game and where it stemmed from. Also, did not know encyclopedia knowledge of the game. We've heard that here in this podcast, right? Like just the amount of references you've been able to make from
Yeah.
years to years to years, and you clearly love what you're doing and you're pursuing it. So that's what this show is
First
about,
person
right?
I owe it to is my dad. My dad,
Hmm.
well, God first, because he gave me the ability. My dad and my grandpa for really sparking it and cultivating it. And
Mhm.
to Dave, my beautiful wife Jody, for telling me to never give up.
There we go. Love it.
Perfect.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. I
Thank you, Brian.
appreciate
Man,
it.
thank y'all.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
This was a blast.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. This has been great.
This was so much fun, and I want to invite you guys on my show as well.
Dude,
Whenever
hell
you
yeah.
get time.
We're in. That
Oh
sounds
yeah,
great.
you got a Bears fan, you got
Yeah,
just a Milwaukee sports
that's
enthusiast
right.
here. So you need some guest commentary from people that think we know a lot. We got it. Or
Win.
Definitely,
you need some
definitely
Marquette
will be
guys.
reaching out.
That's
Definitely
If you
will
right.
be
need s-
reaching out.
yeah,
And
if you need some
folks,
Marquette guys, we're your Marquette
and
guys.
let you're on. I mean that you're on,
I'd
Mark.
love to. That sounds great.
And by the way, forever and ever, amen. It's the Marquette Warriors.
That's
I
right.
cannot say Marquette Golden Eagles for the life of me. I don't know why.
Hey, for 1 week we were the Marquette Gold,
That's right.
and
I
that
remember
was
that. I remember.
immediately shut down.
Yes.
Well,
So
you got keep the old name, man. This world's gotten too PC for its own good.
Warriors forever.
Washington Redskins. Hello.
That's
Do
right.
I
well,
need to tell you
and
about that
Washington,
kerfluffle?
Uh-huh.
yeah, and the Washington Bullets were the basketball
And
team, right? So they couldn't
can we
win
just
there.
bring back? Can we just at least for a year bring back the Washington Bullets? And as much as Oklahoma City is going to hate me for saying this, I'm old. Bring back the Seattle SuperSonics. Will
The
you please?
Supersonics. Yes. They were great.
I have a feeling that may be a thing, but we don't have
And very soon.
we have no insider knowledge to speculate on that.
Yet.
Um, but thank you for doing this, and we appreciate it.
My
It's
pleasure.
been a pleasure.
My
In the
pleasure.
in the meantime, we are the Hustling Sideways podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. You can check us out. We are on YouTube as well as wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, all of the places, and LinkedIn as well. Our shows with guests air on Milwaukee as well. So thank you to that. And if you want to be a guest on this podcast, you can send us an email. It is hustlingsideways@gmail.com. And Jim,
Keep on hustling.
we'll see you next time.
Peace.